Welcome to The Prize Inside. The Prize Inside. A chiropractor's journey in everyday holistic health and vitality. Here, your host, Dr. Jeremy Myers, delves into the remarkable journeys of everyday people who have embraced the path to health and healing. Through his practice, Dr. Jeremy encounters inspiring stories of profound transformation and the power of true healing within each of us. Stay tuned as we discuss various holistic topics and unlock the healing potential that lies within us all.
Join us as we explore the prize inside, looking at holistic health and extraordinary human potential.
Hi there.
Hi there.
The Prize Inside, a podcast dedicated to holistic living and unlocking your human potential.
Welcome, everybody. Sorry about that. I'm going to get a better AI video, I think. I'm going to keep working on that. I like it, but you can definitely tell I'm not the greatest at that. Well, welcome tonight to Whole Health Weekly, where we go over some of the coolest trends in the social media, mainstream media space, as I was talking about, health and longevity. So tonight we kind of go over and see, okay, are the trends of what you're seeing something that is helpful or harmful to the innate intelligence of the human body? So a lot of times we're looking at it a different philosophy, right? So we're looking at our body as this perfect. Chiropractic is all about your body is inherently perfect, right? And so from that inherent perfection, how do we not interfere with that perfection to allow healing to happen? So with that, give it a thumbs up. I see I got one, which is awesome. Thank you. But yeah, as we go, we have some good articles tonight, so I'm pretty pumped. There wasn't a ton of health information. I mean, the food pyramid was pretty cool. If you guys didn't see that, they put like protein. The craziest part, they put protein, fruits, veggies, all the good stuff at the top of the pyramid. Before that used to be at the very bottom, and it made like a inverted pyramid. And so, but the one thing that they added that was so critical for years, they fibbed about it, but having fats, like actually having fats into the diet, right? So that was a big deal. And to switch it, doesn't seem like much to my holistic crowd, right? However, imagine, new people not understanding holistic. Maybe they don't get into this. Maybe, they think water is Coke, like that is the kind of thing that can happen. But if they get taught something different, it might give us a different outcome for, the chronic childhood diseases that keep happening. So with that said, before we get started, if you like this stuff, I'm up to 73 people on Rumble. I'm so pumped. So 73, you can subscribe. So there's Rumble. If you don't know, Rumble's like a YouTube app that I like because it kind of breaks down things pretty well, and it's not as cluttered as like YouTube. We do have a YouTube one as well. I'm trying to grow that as well. So I got a few people on that one. But Rumble's been my fave. So with that, I'll put it in there. If you look up the Prize Inside on Rumble, you will find, and you just subscribe there, and you'll have access to all of our old shows. Okay. And then YouTube is the Prize Inside, a chiropractor's journey. If you put that in and look for the little icon that the show starts with, let me make sure I put that up there. Oops. What I do. So if you see this little icon, dude, up in this corner, then that is the Prize Inside. The other one is make sure, especially my podcast, I'm up to like 5,000 downloads, which I'm so excited about. If you're into podcasting, almost I think it's every single one, anything that has a podcast application. So like iTunes, Spotify, you can find the Prize Inside of Chiropractor's Journeys on there. Okay. So those are the big ones. I'm excited about my email list, which is like a newsletter. So Substack is a place that you can go. There's lots of different things in there. I'll be doing like exclusive videos in there at some point, newsletters, where I've learned how to make a newsletter out of the podcast. So if you're more interested, because sometimes these articles are fantastic, and to get the more information after we talk about it, it might be worth it. So if you want to do that, just type or do tribe1.substack.com. So tribe1.substack.com, and then get on that email list. And that way you can get some of the content that way. So these are all just ways, like if you miss something or we go over it, I kind of talk a lot. Love the conversations we have. But it's one of those that, like I want to make sure you have it. Like we did Sunday night what was that? Tension headaches. So tension headaches was Sunday night. Hopefully we did a good job. I try to keep it within an hour. And tension headaches is about a 9-hour if you really wanted to go. So I gave us some little tips because we've talked about some of the things before. But if you combined the neck, the neck videos with the shoulder videos and the tension headache, you might get a really good result there. So with that said, let us start. Tonight is episode 52, and I always start on Wednesday night with a chiropractic quote. And I apologize if most of you are used to 8:30. I was thinking 7:30 just to see if people are not, see if I get some, different viewers, and it seems like I'm getting a few different ones. So there'll be one of those two. It'll be 7:30 or 8:30, whichever one I think people would enjoy. That way, as depends on my schedule too. Sometimes 8:30 just works better. But the quote, let's go into the quote. The chiropractic quote of the week is this: while other professions are concerned with changing the environment to suit the weakened body, chiropractic is concerned with strengthening the body to suit the environment. Ooh, let me say that one more time. While other professions are concerned with changing the environment to suit the weakened body, chiropractic is concerned with strengthening the body to suit the environment. So you got to remember, we're living in the environment we live in, no matter what, right? And no matter what that is, if our body is expressing that intelligence within the strongest it possibly can, no matter what the cost, no matter what the situation, it can take on pretty much any of those environments. Speaking of that, if you're a wintertime, if you're watching me from a wintertime place, some of you are not. Some of you are in the beautiful Florida or something where the weather isn't as crazy. Challenge yourself and get out into that wintertime. Get out. Oh man, my camera's getting all. So challenge yourself and get out into the winter. Okay. So get out into the elements and do that. One of the reasons why is because of this thing called homeostasis. So homeostasis is like a waveform. Once we figure out how to bring like quantum energies and, those kind of things into our health and healing, I think we're going to notice that homeostasis being a waveform, it's never static, right? So a good example is a thermostat. Okay. So we keep our thermostat in our house at like, let's say some of us 69 degrees, 70 degrees, whatever that is in the wintertime. When the thermostat feels that you're going below that temperature, the furnace turns on, right? And let's say it's in the summer and the temperature is above that, then the air conditioner comes on. Your body is no different. It has a set point. So the temperature of our body is supposed to be 98.6. All day, every day, our temperature is getting challenged to go below that, right? Let's say it's 10 degrees outside, or above that, where maybe it's 95 degrees outside. Okay. Or you're exercising or, whatever. When you do that, your body has this regulation, and that's what we call homeostasis. It's trying to bring you back up and down. Think of the intelligence it takes. It takes us a little computer chip in a thermostat, right? To feel that temperature change, tell the machine to turn on either the furnace or the air conditioner, right? To get that set point. Your body does that inherently. You don't have to think about any of that. And that's one of the coolest parts of chiropractic. When we challenge our bodies, though, we are different. We have this intelligent thermostat. When we have this intelligent thermostat, it learns. It's better. It's an AI thermostat. So it learns all of the things. Okay. And when it does that and you challenge it going into 10 degrees, going into 100 degrees, you do that, your body starts to adapt in a better way. If you don't do that and you stay in the same temperature all the time, the body's intelligent enough to know that you don't go out in the temperature every day. So why would I worry about that mechanism? Okay. So think about all the things that have to happen. So if you're too hot, let's say, your body has to immediately initiate sweat glands. The sweat glands start to make you sweat. Drinking water, you get thirst because you're trying to drink water to release more sweat, right? In your, if it gets too cold, maybe you start to shiver. So then the shivering is your muscles going really fast to try to increase your heat capacity, right? And that heat capacity drives that temperature up to 98.6. So, but if we never do those two things and we stay the same all the time, we stay a comfy situation, can we really challenge the body? Can we really challenge it? Not really. So we want to do that, on a regular basis. So with that said, that was our little soapbox of chiropractic innate intelligence for your body, right? That's why, oh, by the way, that is why some of these exercises, the high intensity training that's constantly different all the time. By the way, you can do all those. You can make your own exercise workouts up, but as long as it's different all the time, right? So the more different it is, the better result you'll get. You'll see that right away. You do the same exercise over and over again, you're going to not get the result you want. So, and that's because innate intelligence gets used to that. Okay. So with that said, let's talk about the trends this week. What's happening holistically on the old social media train, which is kind of funny because the social media stuff goes for several months. I was surprised. We've been ahead of it. If you ever watch our Whole Health Weeklies, we've talked about a few of these, and we'll go over them again tonight. But ashwagandha, hopefully you remember, but if you don't, we're going to go over that. Ashwagandha is a really, really good supplement in the herbal world. It's called an adaptogen. Okay. So it's a really, really good adaptogen. And what it can do is help lower cortisol, improve sleep, boost mood and energy. It's essentially, when you look at an adaptogen, what adaptogen in my head means in a basic way is it kind of regulates or does homeostasis for every system of your body. So you have your immune system, your cardiovascular system, your nervous system. You have all these systems. Ashwagandha is like the fine tuner. So any kind of adaptogen, there's several out there. There's astragalus. Oh man, there's quite a few, but ashwagandha is probably the number one trending one. But the reason it works so good is because it kind of balances out all those systems. And that's the one that's trending currently. We you can get this anywhere. You can get a really good ashwagandha. It's really gentle on people. So it's not something crazy you have to worry about, taking, but it is an herb, right? So you always have to, make sure you know what you're doing. But it's a gentle alternative. So they're in the social media, they're saying it's a gentle alternative to stress meds. Okay. So like all the different ones when you're, depressed or whatever, we get an overly, what are they called? The depression meds are getting way too many, way too much prescriptions out there. And now people are SSRIs. So SSRIs, ashwagandha could be something that you could turn to prior to getting on these SSRIs, which people are having major, major problems with. But some people are doing a lot of it. So they're doing between 300 is about right. 300, some people are doing 300 to 600 milligrams daily. Okay. And so that's kind of interesting. That it's still in the news. So when I see one that's still in the news like that, and I've known it from experience, it's a good supplement. The herb is working the way it should be, right? So a lot of times you'll see ones flash in and out. We're going to go over one possibly that maybe it's good, maybe it's not. Maybe you wait that one out, right? But it's one of those. Ashwagandha is definitely one. It could be something that you take on a regular basis, especially for people that have a high stress environment. It could be a really, really good one. The problem is people don't take therapeutic doses of stuff. So that's one of the issues. Okay. If you're going to try it, try it. One of the things that happens to me all the time, turmeric is a phenomenal anti-inflammatory. When it was trending a couple years ago, one reason I like this Whole Health Weekly was because turmeric was trending and I watched people mistakenly take like 1 or 2, not even 100 milligrams. Okay. If you don't take enough of it, you're not going to get the effect. It's not the same as taking a 1 a day, pill that's this big, right? It doesn't matter the grams of these little pills because the chemicals in them are so powerful, like an aspirin or Tylenol or whatever. They're designed to give you the effect like right away, right? And not worrying about how much you're taking, take as little as you can, right? So in the medicine side, they're trying to get down as little as we can. Well, that kind of psychologically messed with us because then in herbal world, in turmeric, I make people take a lot of it. If their body can take it and all those kind of things and, their stomach and all those, I make them take quite a bit in the beginning to build it up into their system because some of these herbs need that time frame and to really, really work and give it time to work. Don't take it for 3 days and be like, I didn't feel anything. That's not how herbs work, right? So you want to take it for a decent period of time at the right dose. And it's very easy to find that dose. You just Google it. How much should I take? Right. And take the top end of that. All right. So, and always consult your doctor. Remember that. Don't be weird and take the whole bottle or something just because, that kind of thing. But always consult somebody while you're doing that. Always have a health coach, chiropractor, doctor, physician, whatever. Right. As long as you're understanding, it's a very safe one. So it should be just fine. Okay. So now we're going to talk about something that is been trending for a while and I really like it. We'll see. I think this one's going to do for, I just found a new one out. So this will be interesting. Functional mush. Now, when I say mushrooms, you can't go psychedelics. Okay. I'm not in agreement with anything that alters your mind. It doesn't make any sense to take something that potentially is has poison or anything like that. But a lot of mushrooms are getting studied now. And in Chinese medicine, they've been used for a really long time, not the psychedelics. See, that's what people are getting when they're talking about all these cool psychedelics, microdosing, these little psychedelics. They might work for very specific things. You just have to remember, that's something you do with a physician and you, right? It's not something I want to do if I have some kind of major issue. But with mushrooms, there are several that have a nice effect to them. But the word is still out on all the different compounds that a mushroom can do. The first one I'm going to bring up is lion's mane. Lion's mane is pretty fantastic. In this article, there is a lot of plant-based compounds within a mushroom that are really, really helpful. Immune system, brain fog, energy, a lot of things. And lion's mane seems to be one of the top ones that I see out there. Seeing an actual effect with it. People are concerned because they're not sure the side effects. That's why you want to do all this stuff with a doctor. We don't want to just try stuff, especially if you're on a bunch of medicine, right? So if you're on a bunch of things that aren't necessarily natural, then this is something you talk to people about, because I always say the risk piece isn't out there necessarily. And some people are absolutely allergic to like mushrooms, right? So my herbal trainer, or the doctor that trained me mostly, Dr. Lowdog, she was like, I'm so allergic to mushrooms. She loves the idea of them, but she cannot have them, right? And so some people's system can't do it. So ask your provider first. But a lion's mane has a lot of good things, a lot of immune system, a lot of brain fog lifting, a lot of good benefits to this lion's mane. So I would stay there. The one that I want to tell you about, though, if you're interested in getting into it, is reishi tea. Okay. So in Chinese medicine, reishi tea is like given to guests when they come in. It's an honorary tea that I believe reishi mushroom tea was probably my favorite when getting into the herbal part of things. I really felt an effect of it. And it's one of those things where it just felt good. It was like you almost felt a little bit of an energy boost, within doing that tea. And tea is a really good way to, introduce something, because a lot of times it's a lower medicinal, it's a lower therapeutic value, but you can find out a little bit on like how your body's going to respond. So, I go from like turmeric or ashwagandha, where I say, hey, take more of it, right? And a lot of times I'll say that with like ashwagandha, right? So people will be like, oh, I took a couple ashwagandha, it didn't do nothing, right? You want to take a therapeutic dose if you take it and it's not doing something, like you want to get that effect. Teas are a really good way to introduce ones to make sure that your body can, is accepting to this as a medicinal herb. But you want to make sure that your body can accept it, and then you can go into the deeper supplementation, like that, like lion's mane is another good one. I don't know if I've never had lion's mane tea, but I know it could be out there. So lion's mane, reishi mushroom. What was the other one they said? Cordyceps. Cordyceps is really good. For stamina. So they're saying that there's some studies out there that cordyceps mushroom for stamina. Okay. Now I have a new one at the office that I'm very excited about. Doing some research with my herbal Amish clan that I know, or like I get to talk to once in a while. They have a new one that's a mushroom based, and it's for respiratory immune system, respiratory infections, and it is actually oyster mushrooms in a supplement form. According to my Amish families, this is a fantastic respiratory, in like a respiratory healer. So it's really good for the immune system and the respiratory. This is not scientifically valid. I don't know. You can't do all the research, but they have done that research enough to make it into a supplement, right? So if it's safe enough for that, then they're definitely, something like that. So I thought that was exciting in the mushroom world as well. So just remember, there's going to be a lot of talk of mushrooms coming, west coast to east coast, essentially. So what happens is, like, they've been once they burn out the marijuana is good for you crowd in the West, all of that kind of faded away, started coming to the East saying, oh, marijuana is good for you. And it's fine. It does have some medicinal properties, But like I tell people, so does whiskey, if you look at it that way. So it's not the greatest herb you could take. Let's just call it up there, right? It's definitely not the one. Now, is it better than a opioid? Absolutely. Absolutely it is. But remember, there's other cool things out there that don't, do something to the effects of your brain, right? And that's what I always like. I want to feel good. I want to be in the moment. You're only on this planet for a little bit. Enjoy all of it, right? So that's my 2 cents on that one. Here's one that's interesting, and it's still trending. Castor oil. This is the castor oil has been the one that I've heard about a lot. So this has been gaining traction for a while. It's been in the news quite a bit. There's a ton of different castor oil. There's patches now. There's all this stuff. They're called castor oil packs. They're saying it's huge for liver detoxification, inflammation reduction, womb and lymph support. People apply warm castor oil soaked packs to their abdomen. Simple, ancient, and very shareable. All right. So, yeah. So that one is interesting. I would say it's been around a long time. Castor oil has. So I don't see any harm in this one. Have I seen the effect of a castor oil pack doing a lot? A lot of times people will do it and be like, oh, it's going to make me lose my belly fat. It could have some kind of, maybe it loses some inches or I don't know, but it's very I think it's more of a subjective piece of that. But remember, your skin is the biggest organ of the human body, and what in absorption within the skin is a thing. So if castor oil packs are your jam, I think there could be a very big piece of being able to detox your body through those situations. Now, is there a ton of science? No, not really. But people are having some effect because they've been talking about castor oils for about 6-8 months now. I just didn't want to throw it out there going, oh, it's the latest and greatest, because I don't see that. I see the mushrooms being much more exciting of an area than the castor oil pack, but some people are having good luck with it. So that is where that is at. This is kind of cool. This is the prediction for this year. So traditional Chinese medicine and acupuncture cupping herbal blends, like we talk about, dietary practices for mental, physical, and spiritual health are surging trends in 2026, which is pretty exciting. I kind of knew that was coming, and it's going to be, holistic trends will keep growing because people's knowledge keeps growing. And so once people understand how to self-regulate the human body it's a passion for all people, right? Like, health is the most precious item on the planet. You can't enjoy anything else without health. You know what I mean? And so by us understanding and learning, like the people that come, the people that watch my Whole Health Weekly or the Prize Inside, they're here for knowledge. They'll start seeking it. Some, I got a couple of super fans that do more research on other things so that I can, they'll come to me with new cool things that I wouldn't have ever passed, right? Because you get so many different opportunities out there to really, really learn. And so that's where I see holistic as being that. Just remember, you can't take holistic into the same model that we currently have. Currently, we have a sick care model. A sick care model is, I'm sick, I go to the doctor. Fix me, doctor. That's what you want to happen. Holistic is not that. The body, you're trying to get this body in such a good environment that it heals itself. We're trying to aid the body in that actual healing. Much different than wait until I'm sick and then do that. Trending wise, it's really, really smart to start doing that on a regular basis. That's why we promote that all the time. Regular chiropractic care. We'll go through a research article that shows that, chiropractic care, self-care, making sure you were, doing the normal thing, exercise, eating right, all of those things. They're all parts and pieces of a holistic framework that allows you to enhance your health versus, defending against bad health, if that makes sense. So that's where I like being, is in the trying to improve my health one step at a time. Things are going to happen, and you might need that sick care bottle at some point. But the key is to constantly strive to make yourself healthier and healthier, no matter what age, anything, right? So that's a cool part. Okay. So I think that's it. Let's do, I like this one because it's still going around grounding. So grounding's really, really good. Okay. Now, there's some new products out there that I've heard some good things. So like grounding blankets, weighted, different things like that. And I think for the most part, I have never tried them, but I'm going to tell you the best way to ground. And maybe some of you that live in Michigan might not want to do this. I haven't been brave enough to do this. Go barefoot in the grass. Once we start getting that spring, go barefoot. Okay. That's the true meaning of grounding, because there's an energy, there's electricity in the ground, there's electricity in you. It will recharge your battery. It absolutely will. I started last few years is gardening with no shoes on. It's been a fantastic, interesting ride, because once you start doing that, it's very, very, very natural. You almost feel like you want to more and more. And so I tell people, go barefoot in the backyard, especially when there's not a lot of chemicals or, those kind of things. I know sometimes it hurts. Sometimes you're like, but my feet, they hurt without my shoes on. That's because they're weak. We have to get we got to get those feet better. And the only way you're going to do that is to challenge them. Right. So there's a lot of reasons your feet could be painful, or somebody said, oh, I can't wear anything. I got to wear shoes all the time. Okay. Sit down, take your shoes off, and put your feet in the grass. That can be just as good a grounding method as anything else. Okay. And part of that is, it's a big part of feeling the earth, understanding that there's these energies that are around us, and remember that we have this biofield. Okay. The biofield is 5 feet around all of us. So we have this big biofield all around us. Some people call it chakras. Some people call it aura, whatever you want to call it. That biofield goes into the earth, right? So that's the kind of thing. And always remember this. If you don't believe me on the aura or the biofield, then don't look up the YouTube video where they just put a headband that reads brain waves around your brain, and you can run a drone. You could fly a drone with your brain. With you don't have to inject anything. You don't have to do any computer chip, nothing. It just has sensors, and those sensors literally fly the drone. How is that even possible if we don't have this biofield? See what I'm saying? Okay. So a lot of these things they don't want you to kind of know about. Biofield is by far one of the biggest ones. No one talks about that one, which is wild. So that's why I want to keep talking about it. One of these days, I hope. I got this one lady. She's really good. She talks a little crazy. So I want to talk to her. Like, can you get it to the point of where you could just tell people about the biofield? It'd be fantastic. But I might be able to get her on, but oh my gosh, her knowledge on that field is fantastic. But just remember, that grounding is really, really good. Okay. So now let's do my favorite part, is where we go to Now we've seen the trends on social media and it's fun. And, you got your castor oil, which could be good. Your mushrooms that I'm pretty sure are solid. I think if as overall you have these plant-based compounds within these mushrooms that are going to make a big difference for you. All of those things are things that I think could help. Okay. So I found a couple interesting articles and I want to talk about them because I talk about this one type of diet quite a bit. I found kind of a rebuttal against it for long-term use, which I agree with. Okay. So we're going to go over this and it's a little more technical. This is and remember where I get these articles are Dr. Joseph Mercola. Okay. Mercola is got phenomenal articles. And what I tell people is go on his website, get his email, and then he'll send you like emails of really good information a lot of times. And it's just a nice library. It's just huge. So, okay. So this is the keto. It's called the HDAC myth, how one paper misled millions for a decade. Okay. So it starts out sounding like there's some kind of crazy, and then it circles back. So we'll come in 2013, a science paper claimed beta hydroxybutyrate, the primary ketone body produced during ketosis, was a potent histone. This is what the HDAC is. So histone deacetylase inhibitor with powerful epigenetic effects. This claim became the foundation of keto's movement's health narrative. Now, what they're saying is this process with keto helped the aging process. That's what epigenetics is, changing your genes, right? So we've gone over what epigenetics is. It's a whole new study that you literally change your genes. And a lot of times you can do this through living this innate lifestyle by getting away from things that would actually hurt you, allowing the body to live in that space, if that makes sense. Okay. So a devastating 2019 head-to-head comparison of scientific reports found that the BHB shows no detectable, the beta hydroxybutyrate, it has no detectable inhibition in vitro or in vivo of that compound that I told you, the inhibitor, while butyrate, which we'll go over in a second, a different molecule produced by gut bacteria, demonstrates a robust HDAC inhibiting activity. Okay. So let me keep going. The bitter irony is ketogenic diets actually reduce colonic butyrate production by depleting fiber intake and diminishing butyrate producing gut bacteria. And I'll walk you through, guys, this whole thing. The very diet designed to boost HDAC inhibiting ketone may be depleting the actual HDAC inhibitor. Okay. So what they're saying is there is an inhibiting compound that was with keto. When you start getting into that fat processing mode, there's this thing called beta hydroxybutyrate, and they claim that it was doing this epigenetic change to make you feel and look and do all those things younger. Okay. So then you had what they call like anti-aging. Key to anti-aging was ketogenic diet, carnivore diet, as you know it, Atkins, those kind of things, the meat diet, right? And so a lot of people went that way and trended to, man, I'm just going to eat that way. Right. And so they kept eating that way for a period of time. So fats, meats, no sugars, no carbs, like those kind of things, not even vegetables or fruits. What then found out is there is the gut bacteria, the gut microbiome creates this compound called butyrate. And butyrate is something that the gut microbiome has to produce. And it actually does help with the epigenetics of this anti-aging situation. Okay. So hopefully this is making sense. So really, this one paper said this beta hydroxybutyrate did it, but it was really the butyrate that had the better effect. This is not a dig on the ketogenic diet. The problem is, like we all know, is that the gut microbiome needs fiber. Okay. And with a ketogenic diet or a carnivore diet or those type of diets, you lack the fiber, right? So you lack the fiber, which then doesn't allow your gut microbiome to really expand. That's why God gave you fruits and vegetables and meat and fat, all of these things. It's a combination of all those things that really, really can make you healthy. There is a time and there is a place. I talk about it all the time. Rachel and I do a gut detox protocol plan at the office. And a lot of times I will start somebody, not every time, but I start somebody on a ketogenic diet. The reason you do that is to kind of reset it when we've eaten bad carbohydrates. Okay. So, like, if we have a very bad gut carbohydrate situation, a lot of times we have to start from somewhere. Okay. So, once we get that person going, then we start reintroducing the fiber, those kind of things. That's why I love fermented foods so much. Fermented foods has the gut bacteria with it and the fiber with it. And so it's even better than any kind of supplementation, because some people are taking, $70 worth of prebiotic, probiotic, postbiotic, whatever's after postbiotic, right? You got all that stuff and it's all in powder form and all that. When all you'd have to do is have sauerkraut a few nights a week, and you might actually get a better result, actually. So it's like sometimes the fermented foods, if getting used to it, especially the fermented fruits and veggies, especially vegetables. Oh man, Rachel and I made some sour. We've done really good. So now that Rachel's eating it with me, because our the one I make is lemon and dill. It's fantastic. I love that one. So you instead of making normal sauerkraut, which some of you know how to do, instead of adding I think it's coriander seeds, and getting the taste, the German style of sauerkraut, we do this one place called the Fermentation School, which has like tons of classes. I'm glad I said that to you guys. I want to go get the Fermentation School stuff. They have classes on it, and they had this one recipe it was lemon and dill. So they added a bunch of dill, like a couple lemons to the sauerkraut, and let it ferment that way. Oh, fantastic. So it's easy to eat. So a lot of times we'll tear through that stuff every night, even if it's a little bit. So because that fermentation gives you that good gut bacteria and the fiber that you need to do it. Right. And so beautiful. Anyway, so going back, ketogenic diet essentially is not a one-stop shop. You're not going to do that forever. You're going to lose weight on it because it starts doing, we'll talk about that sometime, the fat burning mode, the ketosis process will start happening for you. But the problem is that you need the gut bacteria to be healthy and thriving as well. And so if you stay on it for a prolonged period of time, you can mess yourself up. And so that's what a lot of the holistic guys were going, wait a minute, we shouldn't have told everybody to just eat, it was like when Atkins was popular. Everybody just did Atkins for the rest of their life. It's like, all right, let's just eat bacon, sour cream, and steaks. What could go wrong? And then everybody had gut problems. They lost some weight on it, but that can be that kind of situation. So just remember that. Hopefully that made sense. I thought that was an interesting article. Just bringing it in. The gut fiber is a critical piece. Okay. So that's why they call it prebiotic, probiotic, right? Postbiotic. It's fiber essentially. Okay. So I like this one because it's a big deal, and I really want to hone in on fake sugars. Okay. So this is an article by Dr. Mercola. High glycemic index diets increase lung cancer risk. And we'll talk about high glycemic really quick. So high glycemic foods push your insulin in this thing called IGF-1 into ranges linked to lung cancer. raising risk across multiple tumor types, including small cell and adenocarcinoma. High glycemic load diets, when built from fiber-rich whole foods, vegetables, and grains, showed a lower lung cancer risk because they produced steadier blood sugar responses rather than sharp spikes. So basically, so think of like really crappy carbs with a lot of sugar. Really high sugary cereal would be a great example. So ultra processed foods and stuff with high starch content with some seed oils causes a lot of these high glycemic loads. Okay. So these high glycemics where your sugar spikes off the chain, but then it crashes. Like there's high glycemic fruits out there that kind of do the high sugar, like grapes is a good example, but they're not as deadly or, those kind of, not deadly, but like it doesn't give you the risk, right? But those high sugary cereals can be a major, major problem. So that is good. Yeah. Oh, yes. Oh, that's my brother Ryan. Yes, sir. The amount of donuts I eat, I need to do a keto cleanse. Yes, you do. I was just talking about you. When you started cleaning up your diet, you were a lot better. My brother Ryan, I'll tell you right now, he's built like a house, right? He's done really good in the lifting, but his diet would drive me nuts. He knows this. He's done a lot better. He's done a lot better, but yeah, how you get the results he got was just astounding. If I told you all the stuff he'd eat, isn't that right, Ryan? Yeah, put something in the comment for that one. All right. But high glycemic is the big one. So ultra processed foods are a big kicker, right? So you want, you've been sprinting. I like it. We got to talk about some of these workouts. You're going to have to come on. Maybe let's see. Couple weeks. I'll make you come on. We'll start talking about some good exercise plans. We can like study with people. I think people will like that a lot. So, because I got a couple new ideas for you too in the workout space, but a lot of times those high glycemics, that high spike is not great. Here's a good one, carb loading. Okay. So my athletes, and they do these carb loading, let's say spaghetti dinners. The problem is our noodles and all that stuff, the bread, it's all high glycemic essentially. And so it gives you this nice big spike, but it doesn't give you that nice carb. So what you want to do is, if you have an athlete in your world, make them eat a salad. Make them eat a green with a ton of different veggies in it. The reason is because there's a lot of carbs it's a longer acting carb and it'll stay with them longer. Okay. So like this one chiropractor said, one of the things you can do is make a salad and then tell the kid, because something, I remember, I don't think Ryan and I ever ate a salad in my life. We use that for like a napkin. That's what we used to use, the lettuce for like a napkin. That's about it. But if I would have known it was like spinach, like for Popeye. So I tell this story. God, you got me off track. Dang it. Okay. So my dad had this thing when I was a little dude. I would watch Popeye the Sailor Man on a regular. Like, I don't know. It was an old cartoon, but I loved it. Well, my dad he loved he still does. He loves beet greens, just boiled up beet greens, right? And he would say, "Hey boy, you want your arms to look like that?" I was like, "Yeah, I do." Like Popeyes? Yeah. He's like, "Well, eat these beet greens," right? And so I'd be like, "All right, I'll do it." So I sit down, and then he's like, "Put as much ketchup on that as you want." So the ketchup's not that great for you, obviously. It was like the crappy ketchup, whatever. But I was tearing up some beet greens. I don't know. Ryan, put in the comments if you ate that. I don't know. He asked Dad, like I would tear that stuff up. And then after a few times of doing that, the innate intelligence of my body, I still crave beet greens. I love them in a bowl, boiled up like that. Oh, it's so good. But it was crazy. Like as a kid, I even knew that was the right thing to do. But yeah, that's what I thought. So, but one of the things that was crazy about that was, don't just do it just all pure, perfectly healthy. Let the kid do stuff. If they like ranch, spread the ranch all over the place. Look at all the goodness underneath that ranch, right? So if you make this giant salad with all these cool things, good fats from these, macadamia nuts chopped up, and then you got the nice greens in there and like a couple beets or something. And then you cover it with a bunch of stuff that the kid will actually like ingest. Let it happen, right? Don't be afraid. Make it delicious, right? So, oh, that's so funny. Yeah, this one we shouldn't tell everybody about. Oh my God. So this one was a bad idea. This is the opposite of health for who we lovingly call Rexit effects. My dad, it was okay. So my dad showed us how to do pancakes with, I want to say heavy cream. It was heavy cream and brown sugar. If that's right. God, I can taste it now. It was so wrong, but so right. So sometimes we got away with, hey, we did have blueberry pancakes once in a while. I can tell you that. Now, is that the best stuff? No, but it's delicious. And we ate a bunch of eggs. So there you go. Condensed milk. That's what it was. I was wondering. Yeah, it was condensed milk and sugar. Oh my God. Don't try that at home. This is my doctor's recommendation is do not do condensed milk and brown sugar. Oh my God. It's so good. Okay. So let's keep going. You're getting me the high glycemic was not a good idea. I got my brother with the donuts. It's crazy. All right. So Achilles, let's go. Oh, I wanted to do this one because of the chiropractic angle on this. Okay. This one is Achilles tendon, which is if you guys know, it's the big tendon you can feel in the back of your heel, right? And it attaches your calf. So the Achilles tendon injuries are rising among athletes. Okay. And this is by Dr. Mercola. The Achilles tendon, the body's longest and strongest connective tissues, one of the longest and strongest connective tissues, links your calf muscle to your heel. It supports walking and jumping, withstands extreme loads, yet faces rising injury rates across populations. The national U.S. data from 2001 to 2020 show Achilles tendon ruptures are the most common tendon injury, increasing 3% every year, with higher risks in men and Black patients. So that can be true. Very, very true. There's a little difference in kind of our genetic makeup in that sense, and I'll walk you through that. Research indicates Achilles ruptures develop from long-term overload and silent degeneration, worsening by sudden training changes, poor foot mechanics, limited recovery, and metabolic conditions like obesity and insulin resistance. Certain medications, this one, especially fluoroquinolone antibiotics and corticosteroids, directly weaken tendon collagen, sharply increasing rupture risk soon after use, particularly with higher and repeated doses. The prevention focuses on gradual training progression, adequate rest, supportive footwear, metabolic health, and sufficient collagen intake from sources like bone broth to strengthen tendons before pain appears. So one of the reasons that is occurring, one of the reasons that is occurring, in my opinion, this is my humble opinion, our mechanics of our feet are off. So like where there is 30 bones-ish, maybe more, maybe less, I can't remember, how many bones are in your foot. Yeah, so let's say 30. Okay, so there's 30 bones, and they all have to fit like Legos do for building a Lego house, okay? If some of those mechanics are off, you have bad foot mechanics. The bad foot mechanics then lead to your Achilles not being in the right spot, which then leads to problems where you have these small, like chronic injuries. That's part of the issue. A lot of footwear is a big issue. You see that a lot because they it's the way of the world in a sense. So you have essentially, you have these great shoes that are supposedly out there, but the lack of mechanical, let's say you go get your kid this $150 pair of whatever's, right? So basketball shoes, $150 pair of basketball shoes because of the look. So a lot of times the kid will grab a shoe. My daughters were notorious at this. Like they would grab a shoe because it was trending. And then I'd look at the shoe and I go, this is a piece of garbage. But they call it an athletic shoe. And so one of the things you have to do is with your children, you must make sure they fit that shoe correctly. We've gotten so far away from even feeling the toes of the shoe. We throw it on the foot of the kid. Does it fit? Have a nice day, right? The mechanics of your feet going through these athletics is so important. It doesn't seem like much because the kids aren't going to respond, they're not going to say much. But when those mechanics aren't working right, it leads to these other things. And that's why they're seeing a lot. I believe that's one reason they're seeing the Achilles tendon issues that are out there. A lot of times we are also trying to do exercises we're not necessarily ready for. That's another one. I can agree with that. The other one is basically because we're so medicine ridden, we're hurting ourselves. It's not just, there's side effects, guys. There's side effects. Like when you're looking at tendons and everything else, all of them need really good nutrition to make sure you have the best tendons in your body, your muscles and tendons and everything else, right? So by taking too many things that can affect those things, steroids are a big one, right? So steroids can be a very big problem because it has an effect on the inflammation. It works for the inflammation around tendons and ligaments and such. That's why they give it to you, right? Because it works around a tendon or those kind of things. But overuse of that can severely weaken what's happening. That's why you see them with athletic injuries, because our move is not to heal. My Achilles tendon hurts. Oh, okay. Well, let's just inject you with some steroids and get on the field again. That's what we do. And then you wonder why the sucker ruptures. Oh, I can just put it back together. That's sad. That's a sad way to look at things. But, yep. Taping ankles before. Yep. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Good job, Ryan. So, oh, dude. Okay. Before I leave tonight, remember this recipe. I found it in one of my herbal things. Avocado, cocoa powder, honey, milk. What else is in there? Chopped up pistachios. Okay. You mix that up and it almost looks like a pudding. Okay. So if you put enough cocoa powder in there, it's like a pudding. You put it in the refrigerator. It will be the best stinking chocolate pudding you've ever had by far. Easy recipe. Put it in a blender, blend it up so it's all mixed up like that. I made some this week, and then you put a little pistachio on the top of it. What a dessert. And that cocoa powder is good for you. But the avocado and the honey, because it's a nice natural sugar, it tastes better than any of the instant puddings out there. Like if you're a pudding, I used to be a pudding-aholic because it seemed like it had less calories and all that, and it does. But it's not great for you. But this, my friends, look up avocado pudding. I'm sure it's out there, those kind of things. Yeah, Ryan had some bad ankles. He has a crappy diet too that didn't help your ankles, just to let you know that. Then so you want to tape ankles before every game. That could be a thing. Or you get your kids out and you make them do grounding. So you make them run barefoot. Okay. Most kids want to inherently. get their feet ready. I used to do, Ryan, so I know you're doing basketball. One of the fun activities we would do, if your floor is allowed, I'd let the kids run. I'd make them take their shoes off and play basketball in their socks. They thought it was hilarious. They're sliding all over the place. But what you're doing is letting them goof around with the socks on their feet, right? And they're good. They're flying all over the place. Most of the time they had a better practice than when they weren't doing that. But then they worked hard, but they're strengthening their feet as well. Okay. And so when you do that and allow that socks thing, you can actually watch your mechanics change too, because they're not going to pound with their feet. They're going to flow with their feet. So remember the sock, like have all the girls take their shoes off for the last 10 minutes of practice and play. It's hilarious. The kids love that thing. So we started doing that all the time. And that wasn't my brainchild. It was one of my kids. I still think she's a junior now, but it was probably Remy or one of Allie's kids. There was a few girls I coached. And one time they just took their shoes off and started shooting. And they thought it was hilarious that they'd slide all over the floor. And so we just started doing this sock practice, and it was fantastic. And their feet really did improve, actually. So there's a lot of methods to the madness that you can do. But so that, I think, is going to be it for tonight, ladies and germs. Oh, I think that's it. Yes. Yep. So I think that's good. I got one more. I always do a little chiropractic one that I thought this is the huge one. I'm going to bring it up again. There's a huge study from University Hospitals. It's called University Hospitals Connor Whole Health. Analyzed 49,000 patients with new low back pain. It found that those who initially received chiropractic had 80% reduction or lower risk of developing opioid use disorder over 2 years compared to those starting their new low back pain with ibuprofen. So somebody that gets low back pain and they start with chiropractic have an 80% less chance of starting an opioid type situation. Isn't that awesome? That's a big one. And that was 2025. So I'm pretty pumped about seeing that. So that's the kind of stuff that we know now, and it's pretty exciting for us chiropractic people, but there's so much more to this holistic stuff. I cannot wait. Hopefully this year I'll be able to get my acupuncture guy back on. He was fantastic. Dr. Flynn. I'm going to get Ryan on here. I'm going to get some more interviews going. I'm not sure to Wednesday or Sunday, whichever one I'm going to do it on, but it's going to happen. So with that said, guys, you guys enjoy the rest of your week. Get out in that cold stuff. Touch it. I know you don't want to, but it's okay. Get out in the cold. Feel it. It's only going to be here for a little bit, but it's so good for you. So remember that. And till the next time, just get out of your innate way. Have a good one.